In the heart of a bustling Haitian town, where market smoke curls into the morning sky and the cries of griot show echo between rusted tin roofs, lived a woman named Rose. Not Rose the flower, Rose the fighter, Rose the silent, the enduring. A Madame Sarah. She carried plantains, dignity, and disappointment on her head each day. Her hands smelled of garlic and soap. Her skin, kissed by sun and sorrow. She had 3 children and a husband, Lucien. Lucien was the kind of man who walked into a room like he owned the air. Tall, clean-cut, proud. He made women laugh, and he knew it. At church, he held Rose's hand. But come Thursday night, he belonged to Nadia. Saturday nights, that was for Gorda. And on Sunday, there was little Mimi with the dimples and the waist beads. Everyone knew, the neighbors whispered, the market women bit their tongues. But Rose, she smiled. She sold her mangoes and lived her shame quietly. Because in Haiti, a wife is expected to stay, to pray, to suffer, and stay. She had seen her own mother kneel through tears, begging God to fix a man who never thought he was broken. Rose tried. She wore the nicest dress on his birthday, cooked his favorite lalo on New Year's, stayed silent when the other women called the house, stayed home when they laughed at her in the street. But what broke her wasn't the women. It was Lucien's silence when she cried, his fist when she spoke, his voice when it turned into thunder over her soft pleas. One morning at the market, while bent over a sack of onions, she heard it. "Oh my God, that's Lucien's wife." It was Nadia. Her heels clacked against the concrete like gunshots. She didn't whisper. She wanted to be heard. "I'm the one he loves. He comes to my house every Thursday," Gerda laughed beside her. Poor wife. Still selling beans like she holds the house up? The market fell into silence. Even the flies stopped buzzing. Rose stood up slowly. Her face didn't flinch. She looked Nadia in the eyes. But before she could speak, a vendor grabbed her arm. "Rose, don't do it. They're not worth it." She left the market early. People whispered as she walked by, some out of pity, some with judgment. She made it home, face tight, back straight, but her hands shook as she put down her basket. That evening, word reached Lucien that his other women had humiliated his wife in public. And something snapped in him. He stormed into Nadia's house. "What did I tell you about disrespecting my wife?" His voice cracked like thunder. "You think you're better than her? You think just because I come here, you can walk around talking trash?" Nadia froze. Gorda tried to speak. He cut her off. "You're not her. You'll never be her." They had never seen him like that. But that same night when he got home, it was a different man who walked through the door. He found Rose in the kitchen, silently washing rice. He walked in like the wind, quiet at first. "Rose." She didn't answer. "I heard what happened today." Still silence. "I'm sorry." "You didn't deserve that." She turned around. Her eyes were red but dry, her voice calm but cracked. "I'm tired, Lucien. Not just of them, of you, of this, of crying on a pillow that smells like other women's perfume." He took a step closer. "I said I was sorry. I don't want apologies anymore. I want peace. I want my children to see what love looks like. I want to wake up without feeling like I'm not enough." His face darkened. "Don't start with that. I have begged. I have bent. I have bled for this marriage. And you, slap." It came like lightning. Quick, cold, cruel. She didn't fall, but her dignity did. The children upstairs froze. The house went silent. Even the breeze stopped at the window. He backed away slowly, chest heaving. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She looked at him the way a woman does when she realizes she has nothing left to lose. Then she turned her back and went to tuck her children in. That night, Rose didn't sleep. She sat at the edge of her bed holding a damp cloth to her cheek. Not because it hurt, but because she refused to let the swelling be seen in public. In Haiti, many women live like ghosts in their own homes, speaking only when spoken to, surviving between beatings and betrayals. But Rose wasn't a ghost. She was still breathing, and something inside her was waking up. The next day at the market, the air was heavy with charcoal smoke and the smell of frying okra. Rose set up her stand as always, but today she wore a white head wrap. Clean, crisp, bold. Nadia and Gorda saw her from a distance. They laughed. Nadia tossed her curls and made sure everyone heard. Look at her, still showing her face. Like nothing happened. But Rose didn't even blink. Customers lined up. Women greeted her with quiet nods. Some looked down in shame, because they too had taken blows from men who said they loved them. One young woman came up, handed Rose a mango and whispered, I don't know you, but you're strong. Rose simply smiled. Meanwhile, Lucian sat in a barber shop, listening to men joke about women. One man bragged, I got a wife at home, but these side things? That's life, Lucian smirked. But something in him shifted, because the last thing Rose said kept replaying in his mind. I want my children to see what love looks like. He didn't even know what that looked like. He had grown up in a house where love wore belts, where silence was survival, where women cooked, cleaned, prayed, and were never heard. That night, Lucian came home early. No perfume on his shirt, no lipstick on his collar. Rose was sitting on the porch, shelling beans with her daughter. He stood there for a long time. Rose, he said. She didn't look up. I don't want to lose you. She raised her eyes slowly. You already did. But this story isn't about leaving, because Haitian women don't always have that choice. No shelters, no laws that protect them, no money to start over. So Rose stayed, but she didn't stay silent. One Sunday at church, she stood up in the middle of the pastor's message. Tears filled her eyes, but her voice was steady. I have something to say. The room stilled. Even the fans seemed to pause. I've been hit, humiliated, called names, cheated on, but I am still here, and I won't wear shame like a headscarf anymore. To every woman in this room who knows what I'm talking about, we are not weak. We are not less. We are not alone. A murmur rippled through the congregation. A few women clapped. One older woman cried. Lucian sat frozen in the second row. He had never seen her like this. The room that once gave him power now made him small. Weeks passed. Nadia tried calling. No answer. Gerda showed up at his job. He walked away. Lucian started coming home early, helping with the kids, asking questions, apologizing, not just once, but again and again. But trust is not a flower you pick. It's a seed you plant. And Rose, she was no longer begging to be watered. One afternoon, she stood in the kitchen, watching her daughter play in the yard. Lucian came behind her, hands soft, voice low. You think we'll ever be okay again? She turned slowly. I don't know. And for once, that answer was enough, because this isn't a story about the perfect ending. It's a story about survival, about dignity, about a woman named Rose, who stayed but no longer stayed silent. A story that belongs to many and still continues. After all the apologies, the promises, the begging, Lucian stayed the same. The good days got fewer. The bruises became more frequent. And Rose, she grew quiet, not weaker, just quieter. The kind of silence that comes after years of screaming into a locked room. She cooked, she cleaned, she mothered 3 children. She smiled when needed, nodded when spoken to. But inside, something in her had died. The market women used to talk about her. She used to be so lively, they'd whisper. Now look at her. Eyes always down like she's afraid of her own shadow. But they were wrong. Rose wasn't afraid. She was tired. Tired of begging a man to see her. Tired of competing with women who flaunted their affair right in front of her. Tired of a society that saw her pain as normal. Because in Haiti, the law does not defend women like Rose. There are no shelters, no safety nets, no police coming to rescue you. You either endure or you disappear. And Rose, she endured. Years passed. Lucian still had his women. Nadia, bold as ever, once laughed as she passed Rose's stall, saying, some wives are just placeholders, old furniture, taking up space. The words stung, but Rose didn't respond. She kept her hands busy, selling her tomatoes, calculating silently. She didn't plan to leave, not forever, but one day, she did need to breathe, to be near someone who saw her pain. So she left for her mother's house, just a few blocks away. She didn't pack much, just her Bible, a photo of her youngest son, and the weight of years on her shoulders. Lucian searched. He asked neighbors. He knocked on doors. But no one told him where she went, because they all knew if he found her, she would return, and they couldn't bear to see her spirit break any further. At her mother's house, Rose didn't speak much. She didn't cry. She helped with the cooking. She bathed her children. She swept the floor like a woman trying to sweep the past away. For a week she rested. She healed in small ways. She slept without flinching. She breathed without fear. And then she went back, because she had nowhere else to go. Because leaving doesn't feel like freedom when you're trapped by poverty, tradition, and shame. Lucian was quiet when she returned, for 2 days. Then the cycle began again. This time worse. He didn't even pretend to be sorry, didn't hide the lipstick stains, didn't care when she found unfamiliar earrings on the floor. Rose learned to live with it. She made herself smaller, so the blows would land less harshly, so the words wouldn't cut so deep. She stayed for her children. She told herself it was for them. But inside she was just surviving. Every Sunday she still went to church, still knelt, still prayed. God, please, don't let me die like this. The pastor preached forgiveness. The women sang about patience. The men said, that's marriage. But no one saw her, not truly. They saw a wife, not a woman. They saw duty, not destruction. They saw tradition, not torment. And so Rose stayed. Years turned into decades. Her children grew up watching what love wasn't supposed to look like, watching a father become a stranger, watching a mother become a shadow. Lucian aged but never changed. He grew more bitter, more cruel, more entitled. And Rose, she just got quieter. Until one day, her silence became something else entirely. Not fear, not grief, power. The kind of power that comes from surviving what should have broken you. The kind of strength born not in muscles, but in stillness. The kind that doesn't shout, it endures. But not every moment was quiet. One night, when Lucian slapped her and she knew the punches and kicks were coming next, Rose ran. She burst through the front door barefoot, stood in the street, and picked up a rock. She turned to him, fire in her eyes. Come on, she said. Not today. Enough is enough. If you come near me, I'm knocking you down. Neighbors emerged from their homes. People on the street watched in awe. Her 3 children stood behind her, wide-eyed. And then they clapped. They clapped for their mother, for her courage, for her voice. Lucian stood there stunned. He didn't step forward. He didn't hit her that night. And though it didn't end the cycle, it marked the beginning of something else. Dignity. This isn't a happy ending. Not in the way we want. Rose never left for good. She never got rich, never remarried, never got justice. But she raised her children, protected them when no one protected her. And slowly, silently, she gave them a future she never had. And that's love. That's sacrifice. That's what too many Haitian women do. They carry pain in silence. They wear bruises under dresses. They smile through humiliation. They stay, not because they want to, but because leaving is harder than anyone will ever understand. And yet, they rise, just like Rose. Maybe not free, but still standing. And that is a story the world needs to hear.